Twisted Premonitions. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by a large male big boy, where he took LSD and THC at an estimated 300 micrograms. And here's the full report details. Alright, so here's another acid report sent in from a sub. This is from years back where a user and his friend decided to trip off some tabs they were told were 300 micrograms. Which, it's hard to say how true that is, but whatever the dosage was, these two had a really strong experience here. There's some anxious moments throughout, having those feelings of impending doom, especially when they add a dab pen into the mix. And this is a quick one, but really pulls us into the vibes they went through this night. So I'm sure you'll enjoy this. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Me and my best friend decided to trip for the first time about a month ago. I was told the tabs were 300 micrograms. My friend of very similar age is approximately 5'4", 140 pounds, and I'm about 5'10", 200 pounds. I had to use my very much older, 300-pound, and quite more experienced brother as a test dummy for the tabs, and he clarified that they were real and decently strong. We dropped the tabs at 10 o'clock in my basement, and until around 2 hours after we dosed, we played pool and blackjack to keep us from becoming anxious. Once the clock hit 12, my friend gave up and began to question how he wasn't feeling anything. This is when I started to feel things. When the full high arrived, I had the strange idea that I was going to become addicted to the substance and never be unhigh again. But I quickly disregarded the idea and maintained a good mood throughout the trip. I remember asking my friend what he thought, and he said, "To be honest, I'm a little disappointed." This is when I knew he wasn't prepared. I persisted that it was kicking in, and eventually persuaded him that he was feeling it. About a half hour passed, and the feelings were rising. I watched the music video LSD by A$AP Rocky, and let me tell you, my mind was blown. We tried to put on Inception, but I had no clue what was happening and got no enjoyment from it, so we turned it off immediately. It was the day after Easter. My friend grabbed my Easter basket and didn't put it down until it was empty. It was like he was thought loop eating, and it was funny as hell to watch him stuff his face while tripping ballsack. I was looking at my friend, and I saw his eyes open twice the size they were before, and his eyes began to rapidly dash around the room like he couldn't believe his eyes. We were both tripping decently hard at this time, and I believe it was around 1:15. Possibly my best memory from the entire trip was listening to "This Must Be Illegal" by Teenleaf. I watched my friend morph from a human being to random flashing colors. This is when my friend asked me to hit my dab pen. I was well aware that it would intensify the acid immensely, and was not supportive of the idea at all. If I would have been sober, I wouldn't have let him hit it, but I wasn't. I took 2 5-second hits, and he definitely took more than I did. I sat back in my chair, and I knew that he had just fucked up big time. My only moment of discomfort across the entire trip occurred right after we hit the dab pen. It felt like hot layers of air being pressed on my skin like a thick, gross blanket. It quickly stopped, and I began to enjoy the trip again. Me and my friend just sat and listened to music for a long time, and didn't talk. As someone who's had a very bad experience with drugs before, I knew what was happening in his head. I looked at him, and his face would melt and move every direction. Then the entire room twisted like a corkscrew and held place for what felt like an hour, and then untwisted. If I looked in the corner of the room at this point, it just repeated infinitely. My friend found it a good idea to let me know about 15 minutes after we smoked that he was having a terrible, no good, very bad trip. He used his phone quite avidly while tripping, and it made me nervous. It made me quite suspicious. We went to the bathroom to look at ourselves in the mirror, and let me say, I'm quite the narcissist on acid. Me and my friend were discussing his bad mood when I suddenly became 100% convinced the cops were coming for me. I remember my nipples getting hard as fuck, and then I ran out of the bathroom as fast as I could and quickly realized there was no law enforcement. We returned to my bedroom, and my friend was so overwhelmed, the best thing he could think to do was sleep. I told him it was impossible. He proved me wrong. He was out within 5 minutes. I spent the countdown alone and perfectly happy.